if you look over at the finished version of the dictionary list, you see that there's like a little bit of a shadow effect going on with the text over here. Now, that's actually not a JavaScript thing. That's just a plain old CSS attribute that unfortunately isn't supported across all browsers. Like, for example, it's certainly not supported in Internet Explorer 8, but it's just like since it's just an ornamental piece, it's an ornamental piece of the presentation. It's almost like if it's not rendered in Internet Explorer, everything else is maintained, like my design and my layout and everything. So, it's actually not a big deal. So, I want to show you right now the text shadow CSS attribute, and I'll show you how to use it as well. So, I'm going to go to, for starters, let me do it to my H2. Now, okay, let me go. This is where I'm going, but this is currently where I'm at. I'm going to add text, the CSS text shadow to my headers over here, the chapter 1, 2, and 3 stuff. So let me go here and I'll put text shadow. Let's see. I want Dreamweaver to pop that up for me, and actually acting a little wonky now. Unfortunately, Dreamweaver as of CS5 doesn't have full text shadow support, so I have to kind of know how to use it. And there's a couple of different, there's like 4 different options in the text shadow. There's the X and Y coordinate, which tells you, like, if you think about the X and Y axis, the vertical and horizontal, or X being the horizontal and Y being the vertical positioning of the shadow, and there's the radius blur, and then there's the actual color of the shadow. So let me just show you. So I'm going to go, so first let me do the X-axis, and I'll say 1 pixel away. Now I'll do the Y-axis, 1 pixel away. Now I'll do the blur radius. So actually in this one, the larger the number, the broader the blur, so the less defined the shadow is going to be. So let me just show you. I'll give you 1 pixel shadow, and then now the color, I'll do it something that is noticeable, maybe like let's give it like a red color. It probably won't be the most aesthetically nice one, but it'll certainly you see it defined. So now you should notice right over here, you see how the red is applied to there. So this is 1 pixel on the X, so it's to the right, 1 pixel on the Y, so it's going down a little bit. Obviously, if you gave it a negative value, go up a little bit. And the blur is, these are some pretty almost hard lines over here. So let me show you. Let me change, just for so you see it, to something drastic, the blur radius. Let me change it to 100, and then, all right. So now you see how it already changed, and now how everything is kind of like this very blurry thing, blurry red back there. If I change it to 10 pixels, it's a bit less defined. Obviously, if you change it to a smaller number over here, like a 0.5, it's some very sharp edges. And if you change the X and Y at this point to something very out there, you see how now it just has the whole other shadow, because it's 10 pixels. You know what? Let me just make sure that I'm telling you the right thing. Yeah, this part is the X-axis, so if I change this to 10, it should be vertical, right? It should shift over to the right. So yeah, there we go. And what if I gave it a negative value? It shifts over to the left. Okay. And now we get it back there, and the same thing with the Y, right? If I give it a 10, it'll go down. If I give it a negative 10, it'll go up. So you could play around with this to really get the look you're going after, and probably something with a bit better of a blur would work. I almost like, let's see, with the 5 blur. Okay, mean, that looks pretty good. And then when you click on it, even the hover state has this. And actually, yeah, I definitely dislike this this red color for my collapse. So I'm going to bring over my H2, kind of make sure I keep my document organized over here, since this is a big portion of my typography. Yeah, this red has got to go. Maybe, you know what? Maybe what I'll do is I'll make my H2. I'll make my H2, the color on it, black. And black is what, 000. And then I'll let the collapsed be the 666. Yeah, that has a decent effect over there. And I'm definitely going to want to change this text shadow to something. Let me do it in here. Change this text shadow to something a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. That's cool. It's a little bit of a kind of a blue effect. And maybe I didn't save it. Here we go. Now I save it. And here's what it looks like in Firefox, which does support that the text shadow option. And here is, unfortunately, what it looks like in Internet Explorer 8. Oh, hang on, this little, yeah, it says it's not found, but it's a little bug with my VMware. Let me give this another go. Internet Explorer 8, unfortunately, doesn't support that tag, but at the same time, it's not the biggest deal, because really the integrity of my design is still kept. I would be careful. I would use the text shadow with, you know, be careful with the way, with discretion. Be careful the way you use it, because you don't want to add the text shadow to actually all of the content inside over here, because in all honesty, it could interfere with the readability of the content. So, you know, like all cool effects in any of this, from the CSS to the JavaScript, you want to use them in good taste, because if you kind of start using them just rampantly all over the place, for one, it's gonna diminish their impact, their visual impact, and two, it's just gonna look plain ugly.